Hello everybody, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and here we have part 17A now of this beginner series. And I'm calling this 17A because I was hoping to get everything done in one video for the Eduard stuff, but it's going to turn into two. So basically what we're doing here is we're looking at how to use Eduard Photo Etch, what the instructions mean, the hints and tips, and the sort of warnings about what to do and what not to do. So what we're doing, we're concentrating on this page here. So we've removed these two bulkheads, we've sanded down this flat, and then we fitted this piece of photo etch here onto this roof. This is part number E12, and that's that. So just one thing I did want to add, I've actually only just noticed this while I'm sat looking at it. They're telling you to remove this raised detail on here, and don't sort of go too far down. Reason for that is, if you can see, we've got red here all around the outside, red in the middle, but we've left these ribs. And if you go back and watch part 17, you'll see that I didn't actually go down that far. Reason for that is, if you go down that far, you're actually going to affect the fit, because basically this goes in the fuselage, this sits on the top, and then we've got more stuff going on the top here that goes up into the area behind the cockpit. So if you take too much off, you're going to sort of squeeze it all down, and you might end up with problems with gaps up in the top. So don't sand off too much. We've got ejector pin marks on this part, which you can see here. That one's still got some ink in it. So as long as you leave those behind, you can see there's another couple there. There's one there, one there. There's one there, there's one here. So as long as you can still see them, you should be good to go. So what we did in the last part, we got the sides on, we got the part fitted, and we just tacked the ends. Now something's happened, and I'm glad it's happened, because it's a little pitfall you could fall into. So what I did, I just pegged the ends and glued them down and left it overnight to dry. So now the ends are nice and secure. But as you can see, what's happened, we've got a baggy joint, we've got a gap there. So what we need to do is close that gap up. So what we're going to end up doing, we're going to start gluing this along here, and then we're going to break that joint away and allow it to go out, because otherwise, if I keep going along here, I keep gluing it, I end up with an area up here that doesn't want to go down. So what we're going to do is do that, and then we'll test fit the sides again, and we'll make sure we're good to go. So for doing this, I'm going to get the sides out of the way. If you have got this kit, you'll notice I've drilled these holes out. You can see on the back, these are actually just moulded circles. They're not holes in the kit, but in real life they're actually holes. So I've drilled them out. Part 10, I believe it is, of the A20 build, you'll see on there how I've done it. And then I've sort of chamfered the back to make it look thinner from the front, so it looks like thin sheet material. Improves the look of the Bombay no end. So for doing this, I'm going to use XT Thin Flexi 5K CA. That goes in and dries pretty much instantly. Basically, rule of thumb with super glue, the thinner it is, the faster it dries. So we'll get the lid off. We'll get some onto our Pringles lid. Now, I'm not going to put the lid straight back on, because there'll be glue on the top there. So leave the lid off to the side. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use my knife, okay, as the glue applicator, and I'll show you why. Because what I can do now, in fact, what I'm going to do is use my pegs again, and I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to pull this up and peg it there, just like so. And I'm just going to check it's all good to go. Yes, it is. So we can work from this end up, okay? And all I'm going to do is put the knife into the glue. And as you can see there, we've got some glue on the knife, and then we can just touch that into that corner, and the glue will capillary off of the knife blade into the joint. I'm going to make sure we've got a cotton bud here, and just wipe it along and just remove any excess. Okay, and we're going to work from side to side. We don't want to go down one side, because you might end up pushing it all over. Just go along there. And there we go. Do the same here. change sides. With the cotton bud axis, not only does it push it down, but it's also soaking up the excess glue. Move that peg along, get it out of the way. And then do the same over here. And a knife, for large areas like this, a knife blade is the best glue applicator you'll ever come across. I was taught that by a guy on my first ever trip to Telford back in, I think it was 2013. No, it must have been before that actually. It must have been 2003. What am I thinking, 2013? There we are. So you can see now it's all gluing down nice and solid. Now if you want to glue these bits in here, you can. Okay, again you can come in with the knife blade and just gently make sure you don't touch the plastic, and that glue will capillary in. And the beauty of the thin, it's so thin it won't actually build up anywhere. So that you can see we've got some glue on the surface down there that won't even show under paint. And there we are. Put some in there as well. Just literally touch the knife on there and it will capillary in. And there we are, we'll move along. Now what we're going to do here on the end, because it's all baggy, what I'm going to do is clean my knife off, remove the excess glue, and I'm going to slide my knife under here and unstick what we did last night. So now I'll be able to pull this all the way forward. And get some more glue in there. Again, cotton bud, roll it out, push it down. Get some into there. There we go. Now before we go any further, I'm going to remove these pegs and just do a quick test fit. That's still fitting there. That's all still fitting lovely, so that's all good. I think I've managed to glue that somehow. Got some super glue on there. So we'll pull this forward. I don't really want to glue it with a peg on there because the glue will capillary under the peg. So what we're going to do is just put some glue on the bottom of there. Put some glue on the bottom of there. And then we'll roll it down. Soak up the excess. Just hold it in place for a few seconds and then you can see it's gone down. So we can capillary some glue into there along the front edge. Just like so. And there we are, guys. So hopefully the newer modelers out there have learnt something from this and the last video. Just a few little hints and tips on how to go about it. And once again, I'm going to just check the fit. That's all good, that's all going together. Just quickly check this one in here very quickly because I think there's glue in one of those slots. Yep, that's all going together okay. So there we are. So now what we can do is come along. As you can see here, we've got a gap in the back of here, so we can come in from behind and get that in there. There we go. So that's that glued. And here, this piece here, I'm going to get some glue underneath there. And the same from this side. Just mop up that bit that's spilt in there. Just make sure that's gone down. There we are. That's all glued down as good as it needs to be, because it's not doing anything particularly. You know, it's not load bearing. It's not like it's got undercarriage going on it or anything like that. It's just going to sit there and hang off the roof in the Bombay and not really do much at all. So there we go. You can see that is actually fitted on there now nicely. It's all nice and flat. It's all gone down lovely. I mean, if you want to, we can go all the way along the edge now with our glue and make sure we've got no areas left unstuck. The only risk with having areas unstuck is that it means you will be able to, if you're dry brushing or sanding or doing something like that near it, if there's an area that's not stuck down and you touch it, it will pick up and it will rip it off and bend it, and it will make your project look not as nice as it would have done if it hadn't have happened. Let's just put it that way. There we go. And then we can just get a fresh cotton bud and just mop up any excess, just like so. Okay. We'll do the same on the other side. Just let the glue come down. There we are, just like that, innit? As they say in London. And there we go, we can just push it down on the bench and make sure it's all gone down nicely. Okay, so we can leave that to dry for 10 minutes and then we can come back and check that it's all good. Okay, so that's dry now and all looking good. And we're ready to move on. So if you remember, I said I was going to put these three little pieces on here, part number 14, and they're just going to go in those three locations. So get the instructions out of the way. We'll get our cutting mat in, and what I'm going to do is grab a small sanding stick and just make sure in that localized area I've got it cleaned up to make sure there's no bits of glue or anything on there. Just make sure it's all nice and flat. I'm ready for the part to go down. So we grab our photo etched fret. We're going to identify, there's part 14 there. So we can come with our sanding stick, just like we did before. We can sand this. Now if you notice, I'm not going over and sanding everything. I tend to do it individually if I don't know what I'm doing. You might find that some of this will be, you know, needs to be shiny or whatever. So I doubt it very, very much, but I just like to do it individually. So we've got 4 of these on here. So Eduard have kindly given us a spare. Eduard do that a lot. They give you spares a lot of the time. So I'm just looking here. It might be easier to cut it from the back. It'll be easier to see because the front is quite dull. So we're going to come into the edge, just cut down. Just rolling down. This is the same knife as I applied the glue, but I've just wiped the glue off on a paper towel. Okay, so we'll cut that one one. Cut that one. Now all three of those, there we go, they've all come off, so we can put our photo etch sheet to one side. Here's where we need our tweezers. What I tend to do to pick the parts up, just dampen your finger and you can pick them up like that. You can use a wax pencil, but the trouble with that is it will affect your glue and stuff because obviously it's a wax pencil. And what I'm going to do now is just remove the nibs from the end of here. Now because these are quite small, I can't really see what I'm doing. I'm going to do it off camera under a magnifier. So I'll be back in a second with these cleaned up. Okay, so they're cleaned up now. There's a couple of different ways we can do this. Basically what we've got to do, we've got to get that onto that area there. You can see it's a similar shape. So if we put some super glue down now, then when we glue it on, it's going to be sort of stuck down and that's it. So you can use some slow super glue, but that tends to be quite thick. So what I'm going to do is position it first and apply the glue afterwards. So this is basically, you can see on here, this is a Chinagraph pencil. Alright, and people call these wax pencils, whatever. I used to use these to mark the indexes on manual machines at Rolls-Royce. So we can pick the part up with the Chinagraph pencil and just place it down where we want it to go. And that's not where we want it to go, is it? We want it up there. Okay, and if I had glue on it, it would literally come off the pencil easily. So I'm going to position this. Now looking at this in hindsight, this might have been easier to do this before we removed it from the fret. So I'm just going to get this in position. And as you can see, if we had glue on here by now, it would have gone off and it would be in position solid, and that would be it. We wouldn't be able to move it anywhere. So it needs to come to the right a bit. Oh dear. What I'm going to do is get a peg on it and then move it around, because that will keep it a bit more in position. There we go. Okay, so I've got that end held down. So what I can do now is with my, wherever it's gone, I've got my super glue applicator here. I can use that thin glue again and just put a drop on the end. I let that capillary under. Now I'm not sure if anything came off of there then. No, it didn't. It's not held at all. So we'll have to use a knife blade. All it is, the end of my glue looper has got a build up of glue on it and it's not working. So you can see we just put a drop on there, let that capillary under and then soak it up. As we can see, it's out of position slightly. Okay, so you can see there, it's not in the right position, it's moved. See, it's moved that way. So that's good for you because it will show you what I do to correct that. I will just come in with a knife, coming from the side that isn't glued, and just literally peel it off. And then I should be able to just move it over. Just like so. You can see it's quite awkward. What's making it more than awkward than anything is actually doing it on camera, to be honest. So now with my knife I can just scrape away that glue that was previously put down. This is one of the beauties of working with brass, you can just scrape it away and it won't cause an issue. Put my finger over that brass part, blow away the excess glue, pick up the brass part again. There's no excess glue on that, so that's cool, so we can put that back down. Okay, and then once again we can come in and try and clamp it in place. Try, he says. And the trouble is the clamp is so long, it's actually clamping on the edge it's clamping here rather than on there, so it might be better coming in from here. Yeah, that's better. That's why it moved when I put the glue on. There we go, I believe that's in the correct position now. So once again, we can come with our knife, get some glue on the blade, run that into there, and that should capillary under. Just pushing it down, hold it for a couple of seconds, get the cotton bud, mop up any excess, and that should be that. And as you can see, once again, I've got it out of position, it's over that way too much. So you can see this isn't easy, depends how far you want to go. I mean, if you're happy with that, then fine, but as you can see on there, it's just over to the right. So clean the blade off, get the knife under there, what I'm hoping it'll do is just allow me to just move it. No, I'm going to have to take it completely off. I was hoping the glue would have gelled. So I think what we'll do, the easier way to do this is going to be, we'll get that off of there, we'll remove the glue. Okay, just scrape that away from there. Okay, so that's cleaned up. I think all the glue has come off of the actual part. We can just in case, we can give that a quick wipe over with a sanding stick. Because it's got raised detail on one side, it's gripping my hand, so it'll stay on my hand. So now I'm going to grab a fourth VMS glue, which is this one. Okay, Flexi 5KC8, and this one's called Slow. So as you will see, it's thicker. And generally, as I say, generally with super glue, the thicker it is, the slower it dries. And you will notice that as your super glue gets old, just going to put a drop on there, as it gets old it thickens up and it gets to a point where it won't dry at all. So now I can pick this up and position it, and put it down like that, and I've got time to play with it and move it around because the glue is slower. He says, and it's gone. It's actually dried in that time, and it's supposed to be slow. Wow, it is absolutely glued down solid as well. That is absolutely glued down solid, so much so that it's bending the part to get it off. That is incredible. I don't know why that's happened. I've used this before and it's allowed me to position it. So what we'll try then, it looks kind of unprofessional, but it's great in a way because it's showing you that even though I profess to know what I'm doing, things are going wrong. So what I'm going to do is use the black, not the black thin, I'm going to use the ordinary black. Just get a drop of that onto there. Right, so we will attempt this for the 87th time. I'm going to put a drop of black super glue there, and then pick this part up and just put it down in position, and then we should have some time to play with it and move it around. And unbelievably, that has gone off as well. Well, that is mental. That is absolutely crazy. Normally you get plenty of time to move things around. I don't know if it's because I'm pushing it down with the pencil that it's making it glue straight away, or the fact that it's got that coarseness on it and it's very clean and it just works really well. But usually you have time to move it around. So what I'm going to have to do is once again peel this one up, or just make do with where it is. I'm beginning to think that I'm being too fussy because the part is actually smaller than what's underneath it. Let's have a go at another one. Let's get some of the black glue on there. Okay, there's probably a bit too much glue on there. And then we're going to place this one in position. There we go. And then with a cotton bud, just push it down and mop up any excess. That went better, didn't it? It's that one there that's the problem. I think the actual, this part of the photo etch underneath is bigger than what I'm putting on, so wherever I put it, it always looks like it's out. I think I'm going to leave that like it is, because bearing in mind it's right up inside the Bombay. I mean, it's, you know, and the bombs are going to be in there as well. So that one there has been bent and pulled about. I don't think I can salvage it. Well, I could, but I don't need to because I've got a spare one. Might be the best thing to do is put it in a peg. See if I can flatten it. Maybe put it in 2 pegs. Just flatten it all out. See how it looks when it's on there. So this third one is going here. Again, we'll put some of the black there. We'll get our part over, place it in position. As you can see, we've got time to maneuver it around. Just get it in place. And then with a cotton bud, just push it down. As you can see, this is how it's supposed to go. I don't know why it didn't like this in the first place. You've got time to play with it and move it around. This one being bent doesn't help. So that is in place, so I can clamp it. Use one of these wider ones. Just clamp that in place. So job done. I'll leave that as it is, I think it's fine. So that's those 3 bits on. So as promised, we've covered the first sheet. Now there's one more little thing I want to show you. This is going to be a shorter video, this one, you'll probably be pleased to know. We can remove the excess of glue using a fiberglass pencil, which I haven't got out ready. This is the RS number. You can get these from AK or whatever, but this is RS. In the UK, there's a massive company called RS that supplies all engineering stuff. That's the number. Okay, and you can get removable, the ends come off. You can see it's a fiberglass pen, basically. What you're doing is you're going to reduce the length of the bristles, and then what we can do is just anywhere that we've got super glue, we can just brush over, and you will see if there's super glue on the surface, it will show you. Because as you can see here, on this one, where's my pointer? On this one we've got shiny brass. On this one you can see this discoloration. That means there's super glue there. So we can just keep brushing until that super glue disappears. This is just a way of making sure. The one thing is, be very careful with these. As you use them, tiny little bristles of fiberglass come off and they will stick in your fingers and they're very uncomfortable. So whenever you use this, make sure, Either do it on a damp cloth and then throw the cloth away, or go around afterwards with a damp cloth and mop up the area. Make sure you blow this off really well as well. They are horrible when they get in your fingers. So I should be able to take that clamp off of there now. So we can brush all this off, make sure there's no glue anywhere. You can see on here straight away with that one there, you can see on there that black area. So what I can do is come in with a knife and just remove that excess glue, and then brush it over again. And that's basically how we clean it all up. There you can see again on there we've got that dark area on the left hand side. That's where the glue is. So we can brush that off. This part actually may come off because the glue hasn't really been on there long enough. But for purposes of making the video, in fact I'm going to remove it anyway because it's still bent up on one end. And as we've got a spare anyway, we may as well use it. So scrape that glue off of there, just like so. Go over with the fiberglass pencil, clean it all up. That's ready for another part. The other good thing about doing this is it's checking that your parts are glued down nice and solid. As you can see on there, we've got a dark area, so we can just scrape away there. And there we are. That's that all cleaned up, ready for me to do another one. And there we are. That's it. We've done the front page. That was what I wanted to show you. So now you understand how to use Eduard Photo Etch. If you want to go and talk about folding, go back, look at part 7. I've done all that on there. What I might do actually is do this. I might do one of these for you so you can see what that's all about. Right, so I've got this part off. You can see here that's the actual part 18, and it's all sanded, as you can see, and everything. We've got the surface broken down. Look at the instructions carefully. It tells you step 1, step 2. So we're going to do this first, then this, then this, then this, then that. So step 1 is to bend these pieces over. So what we're going to do, we're going to pick this up in our tweezers, and we're looking at this, and we can see that we have on the side of the part there is rivet detail, you can see on there, but on the other side it's just plain, and that's the side they're showing you. So make sure you've got that side facing you, just like it says on there. And they're saying step 1 is to fold these bits, these 4 legs that are sticking up, fold them down so that they're down onto there. So we're going to just basically hold this and bend those over. Okay, they're so small we don't need bending pliers and stuff, we can just use our fingers. And I'm just going to bend those over. I'm not worrying about their position for now. Just going to bend those over like that. Okay, and then they're going to be glued down onto that face, but I'm going to do the other bit first so that they're not all done, so we're not trying to work out on these wings out on their own. So then step 2 is telling us to fold these sides in. Now they've got such a small bend area that we can just do that by hand. We just fold them in like that. Okay, as you can see, we've now got it looking like that there. So all we need to do is we can look at this and we can see that it's all gone square and everything. So we can just lift this up slightly, lift that one up slightly, and then we're going to get, I think we'll use the black glue. We can just run some under there and push that down. And then we can run some under there and push that one down just like so. So now we've got them glued down. We can mop up any excess. And then if we want to, we can come along and clamp them down while they dry. Just leave them like that for 10 minutes to dry. Alright, so that's dry, and I've gone over with the fiberglass pencil and removed the excess glue from the middle there. So now these little bits that we folded over, first of all, remember these little parts here, I'm looking at them and they've got like a line on them, and I'm wondering if they were originally intended to be folded up so they become like perpendicular to the surface, but they probably decided against it because it's so difficult to do. So what we need to do, they're flapping around in the wind, we need to make sure they're vertical, and then I'm going to come along and just put a peg just to hold them in position. Again, with these two here, just make sure they're vertical, just like so. And then I'm going to again put a peg on them just to hold them in position, and then with our knife and our extra thin, we should be able to just get some glue underneath them. Just like so. You could solder these if you wanted to, but I would imagine that super glue is going to be perfectly adequate for this. And then cotton bud, squeeze down, get rid of any excess. And what we should find when we remove the pegs, we should find that we've got them glued down. Yep, they're fixed in place, so that's good. So now it's telling us on the next stage, we've got to, with it facing this way, we've got to bend these legs in. So these little legs on the sides here, we should be able to get away with a pair of tweezers. Bend those in. Nope, we're going to need our bending pliers. So here we go. I hope they're not too wide. Look at that, they're perfect, they're made for it. So they will fit in between there. No, they are just too wide. What about these pliers here? They're going to be a lot better. So we could just grab hold of that brass and just fold it out 90 degrees. Okay. And then you can just give them a squeeze to make sure they are 90 degrees. So that's that done. It's also telling us to fold the bottom up, so we can use some bending pliers for that. So we're going to bend the bottom up 90 degrees, like so. That would have been better in a folding jig rather than the pliers, but hey ho. Yeah, I'm going to get my folder out because come here, because it's not straight along the bottom edge. The bench is really cluttered here, isn't it? This is a joke. I really should get rid of these instructions because they're probably waiting out the camera. So I'm going to put that, in fact, let's see if I can hold it in there. I'll tell you what guys, I've got a cold coming. Today is November the 15th, 2023, and I think I've got a cold. That's better. We've got a nice flat square edge on the bottom of there. And then the next part it's telling us is to fold this over and then fold that over. So what we're going to do now is put that in our folder. Okay. Oh, the trouble is we've got those legs bent up, haven't we? So that's not going to let us fold that over. We've luckily, instead of having a fold line, you can see through it. So it's just little tiny areas, so it should be easy to... Where's these slim pliers? In fact, we may even be able to just do it like this. Yeah, that's easy. Just fold over like that. Okay, get 90 degrees. And then the next bit is to fold the next stage over. And yeah, Eduard have very carefully thought this out so that it's easy to do. What they've done is they've, instead of having a fold line, they've just got sort of 4 little tabs, so it's easy to fold. And that's going to fold over and form a box, just like so. What I'm going to do here is just pick that up just to square it up. So we'll look at it end on, make sure it's all nice and rectangular and square. So just push that, whoops. You can use the pliers to gently tweak everything. You just want to make it all nice and square. And as you can see, that is so much nicer than just looking at a plastic block. So when we cut those plastic blocks off originally, that's what we're replacing it with, that there. So I'm not going to glue any of this yet because it's designed to go onto here. And you can see what they're asking us to do is fold this piece up. Okay, so what they're asking us to do is, let's see if we can do it with a knife, is fold that up there. And also this one here, fold it up. And then what's going to happen, I think this is going to slot onto the top. We've got a, you can see there's a gap in the bottom of here. I think that is going to slot into that gap like so. So that's going to be a nice strong, that's going to be a nice strong joint when it's all glued together. You can see that's just placed in position there. So there we go, guys. So I'm also going to come along the bottom of here. You can see we've got some excess glue on there. I don't quite know where that's come from. Excuse me. There's my knife. It's easy to scrape that off. And then if I grab my little sanding stick, sorry about that, guys, I had a little parcel delivered. So what I would recommend here, you can see along this edge, because there's only a little bending point there, there, there and there, you've got a gap. So what I recommend is get some thicker super glue and just run it along there. If I was soldering this, I would use solder, and just fill that up with the super glue. Okay, it doesn't matter how much of a mess you make. And just mop away the excess. Right, and then hopefully we'll let that dry, and then you can sand it and you'll have like a solid corner rather than having those gaps. And it's the same on this corner here, look, it's the same on this rear corner. So we're just going to put some super glue in there. And the beauty of working with photo etch over plastic is if we do block any rivet holes or anything, it's easy to just scrape the super glue out, or even put a bit of heat on there, get it out and get your rivets back. Whereas with plastic, it's less forgiving when it comes to the abuse. So we'll let that dry, and then we'll get it glued onto here. Okay, there we go. So that's all folded up. I don't know if you could see it, but basically I've put super glue in those corners, filled them in and sanded that all out. So now when it's painted it should all look good. So that is basically, it's actually a very good design, this. Very clever. I'm not just saying because I got this from Eduard for nothing. They sent me this as to sponsor my build. But this is a very, very good design. Having this tab, because normally what they would do is just, or most companies would do, even Eduard would do, is just have us glue that in place. But having that tab folded up and then that slots into that slot in the bottom of there, that is such a good design. It means you can put it in place, get it in position, and then put your glue in or solder it or whatever you're going to do. Really, really good design. Very well thought out. So thanks for that, whoever that was that did that. And then you can see then, and when this goes in, that's the wrong side. That's going to go like that in there, into those slots, and then this is going to butt up against the side like that. So you'll hardly see any of it, but hey, it was fun making it, wasn't it? We've got to do another one now. So that's that, guys. We'll call that a day. I just want to make sure that's flat. Actually, it looks like it might have a bit of a twist in it. That's okay. All we've got to do there is get something hard and flat, put it on the top, and just, it's sitting on its feet. Let's grab our board, just push down on that, and that'll make sure it's nice and flat and everything stays in. Right, there we go. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you learned something from it. As I say, questions down below. Moving forward, you know, it's just the same thing over and over again. You're going to fold these little, you've got this here, so it's telling you first of all to fold it over, and then you're going to lift the edges up. I think that's what they were planning here, but I think it's just too small to do it. So you're basically going to fold that over, fold the edges up. Hang on. Yeah, they're just telling you to do it all at once. So basically what I would do is probably with a folding jig, fold those first, then fold them over, glue them down, and then fold the bottom up. You're going to remove these raised. Here's the bulkhead here, this is the part here. So E13, covered in ejector pin marks, as you can see. But our photo etch panel, which is here, is going to cover most of them, if not all of them. So you've got a couple here down the edges which are all raised so they can be sanded off rather than having to do any work, which is really nice. Again, you can get your pencil, make some lines, and then can you see the pencil? Certain angles you can't see the pencil, and you can just sand away those ejector pin marks until they disappear. Once all the pencil's gone, then you know you're nice and flat. Okay, so you're going to remove all that detail there, glue that part on, fold the edges down, and you're basically replacing these ribs, and it's going to make it a lot easier and not have those ejector pin marks in there. There's also some holes in there by the look of it, but hey ho. Right, so there we go, simple as that. Hope you've learned something. As I say, any questions, pop them down below, and we'll go from there. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a great day. Bye for now.